You know, have a seat, and then whenever the judge is gonna come up, we'll get started, okay?
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Shelley. I'm the Judge Allen's court reporter. What is your name, sir?
David Bruce Gay.
Okay. And your attorney is Mr. Sally or Mr. Seeloff?
Yes.
Okay. So as soon as they get here, then we'll get started and get you taken care of, okay?
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to put you back in the waiting room and we'll bring you back.
Okay.
Mr. Olguin?
Yes, I'm here.
I'm Shelley. I'm the judge's court reporter. Mr. Hernandez? All right, please. Oh, I'm not communicating. It left. Okay. No, would you mind? Which one? Hernandez. Because. 6545. 6545. But then it's coming to paper? Yes. Let me get my. Mr. Olguin, we had, there were some mistakes in the paperwork, apparently.
Okay.
Having to correct that paperwork, and we'll be with you shortly. Mr. Hernandez, can
Okay.
you see your line? Okay. And Mr. Olguin, can you see your client there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the judge will be in a few minutes, just as soon as we get the paperwork ready. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'm just gonna put you on mute or yeah, mute.
Nick,
Yes, ma'am.
could you please email that paperwork to our office and let us print that off? And it was evidently e-filed incorrectly.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
So, no
See,
problem. If you could just email that, we'll print it off and get his signature and get all that accomplished. Get his
Okay, great.
print.
What is your email address? 69 District?
69districtcourt@gmail.com. Just the number 69 and then district court.
Got it. 69 District Court. Okay, I'm doing this. I'm doing it right now.
Okay, super. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Olking, I think we're ready to get started.
Okay. All right, perfect.
Can you see your client? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Mr. Gomez, can you see your attorney? Okay. Good morning. Court will call case number 6545, the State of Texas versus Adam Hernandez Gomez. Is the state ready to proceed? And is defense ready to proceed?
Nick O'Game for the defendant. Judge, we're present and ready.
And sir, for the record, are you Adam Hernandez Gomez? Mr. Gomez, you have been charged in 2 counts. Count one, violation of a protective order with assault, that's 3rd-degree felony. It's punishable by imprisonment in the institutional division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for a term not to exceed 10 years or less than 2 years. In addition, the court can assess a fine up to $10,000. In count 2, you've been charged with stalking. That's also a 3rd-degree felony, which has the same range of punishment. Again, you've been charged with this by indictment. Is your name Adam Hernandez Gomez correctly stated in the indictment?
Yes, sir.
Do you want that indictment read to you, or do you waive the reading of that indictment?
We'll waive the reading, Judge.
And sir, are you a U.S. citizen? In that case, I'm going to ask you, have you pleaded the charges in count 1 and count 2, guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty and for no other reason? And has anyone threatened you or coerced you or promised you something other than a plea agreement to get you to make this plea? All right, sir, I'm looking at a document called the Felony Plea of Guilty Waiver Stipulation in a Judicial Confession. In this document, you tell me that you plead guilty, you waive certain rights, and you stipulate that all of the evidence in the state has been shown. Is your signature on this document?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you gone over this document with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
And by signing this document, are you telling me that you understand everything contained in it? And you believe that you're fully aware of the consequences of pleading guilty here today? Mr. Olge, have you consulted with your client and advised him of his rights?
Yes, Judge, I have.
And do you believe him to be mentally competent?
I do. Yes, Judge.
You approve of him signing these stipulations before the court today?
Yes, Judge.
Does the state concur?
State concurs, Your Honor.
Mr. Gomez, I'm going to sign these stipulations and enter them into the court's record as State Exhibit Number 1. Mr. Mirabel, is there a plea agreement today?
There is, Your Honor, in exchange for the plea of guilt in cause number 6545, count 1, state recommends that a finding of guilt be deferred for a period of 4 years. The defendant pay a $1,000 fine, additionally abide by a probation term of no contact with the victim. In 6545, count 2, in exchange for the defendant's guilty. Again, state recommends that a finding of guilt be deferred for a period of 4 years, and be put under supervision and have no contact.
Mr. Gomez, you've heard the district attorney's office announce the plea agreement that she reached with him. Mr. Olgain, do you concur that was the plea agreement?
Yes, Judge, I do.
Mr. Gomez, I'm going to follow the recommendation of the district office, and I'm going to defer a finding of guilt. I'm not going to accept your guilty plea today. Instead, I'm going to place you on deferred adjudication, which is more commonly known as probation, for a period of 4 years. in both counts 1 and 2. And I'm going to order in count 1 that you pay a $1,000 fine. During this 4-year period, you must follow all of the terms and conditions of probation, specifically including a requirement that you have no contact with the victim in this case. If you fail to follow the terms and conditions of probation, the state can come back, ask me to find you guilty, to accept your plea of guilty, and then I can sentence you to anything up to the maximum of 10. So it's very important that you work with probation and follow their terms and conditions. And before you leave the courthouse today, you will need to meet with a probation officer. It looks like Ms. Contreras is here, and she will go over all of these terms and conditions with you. Do you have any questions about this order? Have you been satisfied with your representation by Mr. Olney?
Yes, sir.
That everything that you have?
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to sign these 2 orders. Ms. Contreras, since we don't have a bailiff, can you? Oh, I forgot, Brandon, can you do the fingerprints for me? Thank you. Off the record. County knows he's got, but not his fingerprint. Okay, Mr. Olgain, do you have any more instructions for your client?
No, if he can just call me when he gets done with the probation department, I'd appreciate that. And I appreciate the court letting me appear via Zoom. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Y'all have a good day.
You too. Dan,
Yes,
have Mr. Gay. And
the down jail
Well,
should
we
be, right?
what about Freddie Mendoza? He's your client. Does he intend to plea today, or is that contested?
He's
Do
being
you know?
represented by Diana Hathaway, so
He
I'm
is
gonna let her handle.
Okay, well, we'll talk to her about that.
Okay,
Okay. Mr. Gay, can you unmute your microphone for me, please, sir?
Okay.
Okay, and can you see your lawyer on the screen? Dan, say something.
hello.
Okay,
Hello.
yes, I can see you.
Okay, very good. So, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, very good. Court will now call case number 6626, the state of Texas versus David Bruce Gay. Is the state ready?
State's ready, Your Honor.
And is the defense ready?
We're ready, Your Honor.
And sir, for the record, are you David Bruce Gay?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Gay, you have been charged with possession of a controlled substance in penalty group 1. That's a state jail felony. That's punishable by confinement in the state jail division of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for a term not to exceed 2 years or less than 6 months. In addition, the court can order you to pay a fine up to $10,000. You have been charged with this by indictment. Is your name David Bruce Gay correctly stated in the indictment?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want that indictment read to you, or do you waive the reading of that indictment?
I waive the readings.
Mr. Gay, are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
In that case, I'll ask you how you plead to this charge, guilty or not guilty.
Guilty.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty and for no other reason?
Yes, ma'am.
Has anyone promised you anything or threatened you or coerced you in some way to get you to make this plea?
No, ma'am.
Mr. Gay, I'm looking at a document called the Felony Plea of Guilty Waiver Stipulation and Judicial Confession. In this document, you tell me again that you plead guilty, waive certain rights, such as the right to a trial by jury, and you stipulate or you agree that all of the evidence the state has against you is true and correct. Have you gone over this document with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm looking on page 4 at what appears to be your signature. Did you sign this document?
Yes, ma'am.
By signing this document, are you telling me that you believe everything in here is true and correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you believe you're aware of the consequences of pleading guilty here today?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Seeloff, have you consulted with your client and advised him of his rights?
Yes, I have, Your Honor.
Do you believe him to be mentally competent?
I do.
Do you approve of him signing these stipulations before the court today?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Does the state concur?
State concurrence, Your Honor.
Mr. Gay, I will accept these stipulations. I'll sign them and I will enter them into the court's record as State's Exhibit Number 1. Mr. Marable, is there a plea agreement in this case?
There is no in exchange for the guilt. The state recommends that a finding of guilt be deferred for a period of 3 years, that the defendant be placed on community supervision, pay a fine of $1,000, restitution to the Texas Department of Public Safety Lab of $180.
Mr. Gay, you've heard the district attorney's office announce the plea agreement. Is that the plea agreement that you reached with them?
I didn't quite hear what he said.
Can you repeat that, Mr. Marable?
In exchange for the defendant's plea of guilt, the state recommends that a finding of guilt be deferred for a period of 3 years, that the defendant pay a $1,000 fine, be placed on community supervision, and additionally pay $180 restitution to the Texas Department of Public Safety Laboratory.
Did you hear that, Mr. Gay?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that the plea agreement that you reached with the district attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you agree, Mr. Seeloff?
It is, Your Honor.
In that case, Mr. Gay, I will follow the recommendation of the district attorney's office, and I will not accept your plea of guilt at this time. Instead, I will defer a finding of guilt and place you on community supervision or probation for a period of 3 years. I'm going to order that you pay a $1,000 fine and $180 in restitution. During this 3-year period, it's very important that you work with probation and that you follow all of their terms and conditions. And before you're released from jail, a probation officer will come by and speak with you, and she will go over all of those terms and conditions with you. If you don't follow those terms and conditions, the state can come back, ask that I find you guilty, that I accept your plea of guilt, and send you to state jail for up to the maximum of 2 years. Do you think you'll be able to work with probation for the 3-year period?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. All right. Do you have any other questions about this order?
No, ma'am.
Have you been satisfied with your representation by Mr. Seeloff?
Yes, ma'am.
And has he done everything that you asked him to do?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, looks like your fingerprint is already on this order. Ms. Contreras, on Mr. Day, do you have a period of time within which you'll be leaving? Okay, she says she will be there today to talk with you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, you may be excused.
All right.
Okay, Dan,
Yes,
do we have Dallas County Jail on?
yes, that's Martin Mendoza, and that'll be my last one.
Okay, all right, and do we need Moore County Jail again? It doesn't look like it. All right, I'm gonna dismiss the Moore County Jail. Hi, Tina.
Hello, how are y'all? Trying to find
Good.
a mic.
Sir, can you unmute your microphone?
There you go.
Are you Martin Mendoza Jr.?
Yes.
Okay, and are you in the Dallas-Hartley County Jail?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Mendoza, can you see your lawyer on the screen there? Dan, say something.
Hello.
Yes, I see.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Judge Allen is here and she's going to accept and take your plea here. Okay?
Okay.
Court will now call case number 6379, the state of Texas. Is it Martin or Martine?
Martin. Both.
State of Texas versus Martin Mendoza Jr. Is the state ready to proceed? And is defense ready to proceed?
We're ready.
And sir, for the record, you are Martin Mendoza Jr.?
Yes.
All right, Mr. Mendoza, are you the same Martin Mendoza that committed the offense and pled guilty to the offense of injury to a child committed on November 17th, 2021?
Yes.
And do you recall that you were placed on community supervision in September of 2022 and told to follow all of the terms and conditions of probation?
Yes.
Mr. Mendoza, the state is now alleging that you failed to follow those terms and conditions in that on March 29, 2023, in Moore County, you committed the offense of evading arrest of a vehicle. On that same day in Moore County, you committed the offense of unauthorized use of a vehicle. On that same day in Moore County, the offense of accident involving damage to a vehicle. On that same day in Moore County, you committed the offense of reckless driving. Also, the state's alleging that you failed to report to your probation officer in October, November, and December of 2022, and January, February, and March of 2023, and that you failed to make payments to probation as you were required to do for those same months. So I'm going to ask you how you plead to the state's allegations, true or not true?
True. Guilty.
Right, Mr. Marable, is there a plea agreement in this case?
There is, Your Honor. In exchange for defendant's plea of true, state recommends that the defendant be confined in the TDCJ institutional division for a period of 5 years and pay all remaining fines and court costs and restitution owed during his probation.
Mr. Mendoza, you've heard the district attorney's office announce the plea agreement. Was that the plea agreement that you made with them?
Yes.
You agree, Mr. Seeloff?
It is, Your Honor.
Mr. Mendoza, I will accept your plea and I will enter a judgment revoking your community supervision. And I will sentence you to confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Correctional Institutions Division for a period of 5 years. I will order that any fines and court costs that are presently outstanding remain due and payable and owing by you. I will note that you have 61 days jail time credit. Do you have any questions about that judgment, sir?
No, I don't.
All right. Mr. Mendoza, have you been satisfied with your representation by Mr. Seeloff?
Yes.
Has he done everything that you asked him to do?
Yes.
Anything further from the state
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
and anything further from the defense?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Mendoza, you may be excused and I will remand you to the custody of the Moore County Jail to begin serving your sentence. Realize that you're in the Allen County Jail, but that issue will be resolved.
Okay.
All right, thank
Have a good day.
you too.
That's all I have, Judge.
Okay, thank you, Dan. See
All
you,
right,
Dan.
thanks, Judge. See ya.
Tina, I think that's all.